give that to Gina, and you give that to Scott. Put it in the file. Great box, real box.
Yeah, Rick, you have personal mail, or mail addressed personally to you in the auditor's office that you need to come and get.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody starting a new grain bin?
No.
Okay.
That's pretty much over. They all been replaced. Some of them were brand new.
Hey, how are you?
Good morning.
Doing good.
Eric, you can set up here at the
Were the
table.
questions too tough, or?
No, I got
Moving
them all
up.
taken
Aren't
care
you
of,
a
but we'll
department
see what
head?
they.
I don't know, you
if they
tell me,
can
I think so.
Respond to them or not, or, yep.
Morning, Sheriff.
Nice one. Wind's not blowing 30 mile an hour?
Yeah, give it time.
Wait a minute.
You're probably right.
And the dust was flying yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Somebody was working, well, people out working in the fields everywhere. Holy smokes.
Someone was working in the field, just north of my house on my road, hit a pole, looks like.
Oh,
I lost power for a little bit, and I'm
oh
like,
no.
I think I know how. Because it snapped off at the bottom,
Mm.
and it's just leaning. So I was like, man.
Oh, that's a good one.
Good one.
I should check the date. Oh. That was good till July of 24. That's a good mix. How about yours?
Yep, July 24th.
Good vintage.
Morning. Long time no see.
Hi again.
Did you see how speedy I got that taken care of?
Yeah. Did great.
I get things done, especially when it involves connectivity issues.
Well, the old clock on the wall says it's 9 o'clock.
That would be such a perfect slip.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And good morning. Well, gentlemen, had a chance to look the agenda over.
Sure did.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Beer shank eye.
And how about the minutes? Did you guys get a chance to read them over?
Yes, I
Motion to
did.
approve.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, that's been moved and seconded to approve those minutes. Call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Beer shank eye.
Very good. Moving right along here, thank you. We have the claims. Gentlemen have a chance to look the claims over.
Yes, I did.
Any questions?
One,
Okay,
page 3. You don't have them?
I do.
Okay.
would that be at the top of the page?
Yes, it would be.
Yes, it would be. Same question I had.
There was, with the lodging, she paid on, that's the problem with visa bills, is they get submitted on the lodging, and then there's a a difference, and the difference was the penny.
Got it. Understand.
Yeah.
Costs more to write the check. Okay,
Well, there's gonna be more in the check. The check's not gonna be just written for a penny.
I get that. Okay. Any other questions?
That's it for me.
Okay,
Move to approve for the expenses.
okay.
Second.
All right, that claim's been moved and seconded to approve. Call for vote, please. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Pearson, aye.
And in there was some ARPA. I believe the total was $16,838. And that shows for 3D kitchens of $38.39, that's $3,839. Premier Portable Buildings, $7,095, and True North Consulting for $5,904. So that's under the ARPA. Okay, is there a motion to pay those out of the ARPA funds?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded, call for vote, please. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Pearson, aye.
Initials good enough on those?
Yeah.
Okay. And these are the... And here's also invoice for the flooring that was fixed down at the sheriff's office, the EMA office. Well, Eric, we've got 10 minutes. Are you able to do this in 10 minutes?
I think so. I think it'll hardly take any time at all.
Okay. You're up to bat.
All right, well, we just got the notice to destroy here, kind of going through the steps of what we're supposed to do. All the weeds there, the usual suspects. Just trying to get a control on them. We got our sprayers up and running the other day, just trying to hire some people today, hopefully to operate them with me, and that way we're not just policing other people's backyards, we're doing ours too, so I think we're in a good spot.
Do you have a notice?
You want a copy of them?
Thank you.
This is the resolution.
Okay, this is the resolution for it. Okay, good.
The number might be off, she said, but.
If you do it first, it won't be.
Okay. All right. Well, this is by resolution to approve this, fellas. He gave you a copy.
Yep, we do it every year, so.
Yes, we do.
I make a motion to approve the resolution of 23-34, destruction of noxious weeds in Benton County.
24
23-34.
It should be 24.
24-34.
You're probably looking at an old one.
Okay.
So the new resolution is numbered 24-34.
24-34.
Yes.
There you go. Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve that resolution on the destruction of noxious weeds, and then you will advertise this, correct? Okay. All right, call for vote, please. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Pearson, aye.
Give this to you fellas. There's 2 copies here. Thank you. We should have time to do this request for the pre-retirement.
Yes. That is just, as I was getting ready for open enrollment and getting all of our stuff set up, we have to put the retirees into that online system, and I referred back to that resolution that you had changed what the county pays for someone who retires from the county. You had approved 75%, and in the resolution, it had $75, and it had a dollar sign and a percentage sign both. And so I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, so this is just a resolution to revise that, to take that dollar sign out, so it's clear to people reading it that you're paying 75%, not $75. So I just came across that, and I was doing the open enrollment stuff. So basically, it's just kind of signing to clarify that typo, that it's $75 or 75% rather than $75. That's all there is to it.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay, that's going to be by resolution, fellas, to approve that. So,
What number is it?
What, oh, the resolution number, sorry.
24-36.
36, we need to change that to 35, or?
Yeah, well, yeah, because we'll have to, unless you want to wait until after the budget, because that needs to be put on by resolution, because that's number 35, so.
You want to hold?
We can wait.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just easier. So, okay. All right.
For the election workers,
Thank you.
what was discussed in March is, so we are currently paying our election workers. The chairman is $325 for the day, and the precinct election workers are $250 for the day. You guys wanted to increase that when you guys were increasing wages. It got lost through translation, or I don't know how it, the motion got approved to $375 for the chairman and $250 for the workers. So if you guys want to correct that, because then you gave, I think you were trying to do $25 maybe across the board. I don't know what your intent was, but if you want to just do $25, then that motion would be needed, or you would have to correct that, because you gave $50 to the chairman and nothing to the workers. I was looking for setting up general election and getting my year set up for workers, and I was referring back to your guys' motion, so.
If I remember right, I thought it was $25 a piece.
Yeah, I don't know how it got messed up, but, okay. So is that a motion?
Sure, went up.
Okay.
$25 a piece per worker, whether it's chairman or,
So it would just, yeah,
So it go from 325 to 350,
and then
Right.
275.
and then the other would go to 275.
yep,
Very good. And that's your motion.
yep.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yep.
All right, been moved and seconded to clarify that and to change those dollar amounts for the election workers. Call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Beershank, aye.
Good, thank you.
Here's the
Thank you.
Watkins.
Should have time to do that. This is their annual.
I'll make a motion to approve Class C liquor license for Watkins Community Athletic Association.
Second.
All right, that's been moved and seconded to approve that Class C retail alcohol license. Call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Beershank, aye.
Thank you.
I'll take the claims too.
What's that?
The claims, I will take two.
Well, I think we're waiting for signatures.
So you got yours all done, though?
Oh, sorry.
You want this signed or?
Yes,
Yes, the chairman has to sign it.
sign it and date it anywhere.
Okay, I didn't see anything
No.
special, so.
Adam?
Thank you. Here's this one. These in here. They're nice and tight. Will anybody give a short report? I don't.
Had landfill Thursday night. Eric reported on it Tuesday when he was here, so
Okay.
all quiet.
Yeah.
We'll have one next week.
Okay, very good. Took care of that item. We still have time.
You paid the bill on the floor lifting at the
Yep.
sheriff's office? Unbelievable
Quite a difference.
how
isn't
that
it?
worked. We thought we had to take up carpet 8 foot back. They took up one square, drilled a hole in it. It was simply amazing.
I've seen it done on a sidewalk.
And,
It didn't last.
well, now we don't know how that's gonna work here.
Well, but that's out in the elements too.
But it was in, it was the radio room between the two, the conference room and Scott's room. They were putting the foam in Scott's room, and it came out the hole they had drilled in the radio room, and that floor went right up. It was just,
Without injecting it there?
yep,
I'll be darned. Interesting.
so there must have been, Boyd must have went that direction.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I show it's 9:15, and so I'm going to open for the fiscal year 25 budget hearing.
Do you have a copy of the budget that I can see?
Yep. Are you wanting one that was submitted to the Department of Management, or are you wanting it by line items? You can have both. How's that?
Okay.
Any questions?
I've got about 4 questions and a comment. Brad Havron, and I submitted the questions ahead of time yesterday, so Gina had some time to look at them in case you don't know the answer right off the top of your head. But obviously, there's an increase in the tax levy amounts, and obviously the proceeds coming in for property taxes. So I was kind of curious what the split was in terms of the increase between the valuation increases from 2023 and the EMS tax that we approved to pay for. So I was hoping for a breakdown of that, of what portions of those increases.
I was-
Copies of those questions?
He gave me the questions, but since it's your guys' budget hearing, I was gonna let you guys, I wasn't gonna answer for you guys, so.
Okay.
I
guess I don't.
didn't know if you don't know the answers, I can help out.
I was gonna say, I don't have an answer, I'm sorry. So, yeah, jump in if you could, Gina.
With your first question about the dollar amounts and percentages, the assessor's office gave out a letter, because I talked to the assessor's office, that came out with the 2023 assessment notice. And so I have copies of that here. They had a statement that said, in the past 3 years, we have more changes due to derecho damage and the limited housing available than any other county. We have a reappraisal project in 2021, that's when the Vanguard went around. That was based on 2020 sales with adjustments on the derecho damaged properties. The rapidly rising land values, increased building supply costs, and limited labor for rebuilding has also affected our market. The residential market in 2022 rose at the most rapid rate to the highest levels in history. If the sales decrease, the assessments will decrease, which they did in the late 1980s. The EMS portion that was in the budget was $1,225,070. And I think with your last question that you had, Brad, I think that's, when you're talking about projected EMS expenses, that I would believe would be the same amount.
Sorry I'm late, are we in the public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Brad has asked some questions that he's asking currently.
And the second question that I'd asked was dealing with the tax credits that were listed for 23, 24, since there weren't any tax credits for 22, 23, or any projected for this year's budget. I didn't know if that was just a timing thing or a special type of credit program that was offered to the taxpayers. I was just curious what those credits consisted of and why there weren't any projected for 2025.
So business property tax credit changes with the tiered assessment. I asked Haley this yesterday, and she gave me this, and she said she figures on low credits and revenues because the county has to eat a lot of that during the year through the homestead 65 and older. So she focuses in the budget more on the expenses because you're not always guaranteed the revenue. I know sometimes even with grants, depending on, you're at their kind of mercy, so sometimes those don't get back in the same fiscal year. So that's why the budget itself is a worst case scenario. So that's where a lot of times the revenues, we don't know how to project that accurately.
Okay. So it's kind of a timing thing as far as when it will
Yep.
actually be recognized. Okay, and then the other question I had was what was causing the $1.9 million, about a 19.4% increase in the intergovernmental revenue line item?
The capital projects, there was a $1 million, there's like a pass-through grant, and that goes with the REAP and conservation and some bridge swaps.
And then I guess she already answered the last question I had, but I guess my one comment is just looking at this and understanding it's the worst case scenario, but I also realized that there was some COVID money that was received and the so-called Inflation Recovery Act money way back when, and some of that money has obviously been getting spent kind of slowly, being expensed over time, but it's just, it's not a good trend for me to see that, our revenues, or our expenses are exceeding our revenues in the last 2 years, 8.9 million for 2023, 2024, and now 5.1 million for 24, 25. It's just not a good trend to see that, so I'm hoping that maybe that gets controlled moving forward a little bit.
The one question that you did send to me about the $656,000 increase in public safety, that's also where the EMS levy is coming through, but also in there, that comes through, there's juvenile detention and medical examiner. That is something that is very hard to budget ever. Medical examiner, I'm sure Jill can attest for this, it's always hard to budget for because you never know when people are going to actually need those services and how many people are going to die during the year that are going to need that. Juvenile detention is the same kind of principle, how many kids are going to be needing those services. So that's really hard to budget because you can't really just go accurately over what happened last year because you don't know, that's going to fluctuate from year to year.
So anyway, just maybe keep in mind controlling expenses, especially when we're losing the fund balance, I guess. Dropped from, it was at over 25 million at the end of the actual for 2022, 2023, and it's projected to drop down to, let's see, what is it? Well, it looks like from 27.6 million down to 13.5 million, so it's dropped in half in 2 years.
Thank you.
Can I come up here?
Please.
Thanks. As you can see, I have a few papers.
Yeah.
Don't act so enthused. You probably won't be by the time I'm
No,
done.
that's fine. But we will not spend all day on it.
You might.
Morning, Myron. Morning.
I did a public records request for a line item budget. for re-estimated and requested for next year. And I have a few questions, obviously. I went back and read audit reports for the county, and I looked at your budgets, and I'm assuming you guys have looked at your line item budgets?
Hours
Well, the counties,
overall.
everybody. One of my questions was on the ARPA, which you're paying for the radio equipment or towers, and I get that. And that was a $7.2 million project. I should tell you, I spent yesterday talking to an awful lot of departments about their budgets. And they were all very, very helpful. So it was a $7.2 million project with $2 million coming out of the ARPA and $5.2 million coming out of a general obligation bond. And as far as I can tell, there's about $2 million left to spend on that project. And you have $2.6 million left in your ARPA fund. So you have $600,000 left. Do you have any idea what you're going to spend that on?
Well, I know they're gonna get a driveway over here at the new building. I can't tell you how many dollars amount that was. That was quite a few thousands. Conservation is going to put a new restroom at Urbana, the Wildcat, which we just okayed. I'm guessing it's just a down payment for that shelter to come. They haven't got the bills in yet or the work done for the electrical line or the water coming into that new building that they're gonna put up there, the new shower house. That's two projects there that I know that are not done. I believe some of the security that you wanted to do, Ron, for the cameras and everything, ain't that gonna come out of the ARPA fund?
Either that or the,
Lost.
So getting back to the radio project then, when I looked at, you had $2 million left. When I look in the budget with what you have spent so far this year and what you have budgeted for this year, plus what you budgeted for next year, for that project, you have $5.6 million budgeted and only $2 million left.
I don't follow you there.
is that ARPA money, Joe?
Yep. Well, it's the whole project. I don't want to say ARPA, I'm saying the project.
Okay.
If you look in your, I think it was under capital projects. You gotta give me a minute, I didn't know I was gonna have to look that up. Okay, so for, under capital projects, you have spent $1,085,000 so far this year, $1,085,901. You re-estimated for the entire capital projects $3.7 million for this year. So that tells me that you've got just about $2.6 million left to spending authority for this year. So if you're gonna spend it, I'm assuming, then you, again, next year have another $1 million and $27,000. So that totals what I just told you, that you have $5.6 million left of spending authority for that project with only $2 million left to spend on it. That affects your budget overall. We'll move on. When I looked at, what bothers me is this budget has double-digit increases in expenditures. So I was looking at expenditures. I didn't get into revenues too much, but I looked at the expenditures quite a bit. I know you just hired a weed guy for $67,000, yet you have $90,000 in that line item. Legal and court-related has gone out of sight. And I realize that you guys have had some legal problems, but I also asked for some detail on some of those items, and I see an awful lot of money being spent on things that we should already know, or that we should use our county attorney for, or that we should actually get out the Code of Iowa and read first before spending money with attorneys. And I really think that needs to be looked at. Rural Services, Farm Bureau. According to your budget, and I'm looking at the adoption of budget and certification of taxes, and maybe you can explain this to me, with this new law, according to this, the maximum levy for rural services can be 3.87255. This is right from your document. Yet you're levying 3.90577. How can you do that? And I even went through all the calculations to make sure that I was understanding that correctly. From what I'm seeing, you cannot levy what you're levying for. Which made me then take a look at rural services. Your fund balance in rural services has grown astronomically, and there's no reason for it. In fiscal year 23, and I went all the way back to fiscal year 20, but in fiscal year 23, your ending fund balance in rural services was $1.4 million. And what this budget estimates it to be at the end of fiscal year 24 is $1.6 million. That's an ending fund balance. That's after expenditures, transfers, everything. Your expenditures, and I'm not counting secondary road transfers because secondary roads has his own fund balance, so we don't look at that. Your expenditures for fiscal year 23 were $879,000. So why do we need a $1.6 million fund balance? And I went back and I looked. Back in fiscal year 21, your levy rate was 2.97. Fiscal year 22, it jumped up to $3.84. Yet, our fund balance grew from $640,000 in fiscal year 21 to $1.1 million in fiscal year 22. The county's not supposed to be a bank. Good budgeting, you would want to at least, you try for a 25% fund balance. Obviously, this exceeds it. I think that your rural services levy could definitely be reduced based on your expenditures. Which then got me looking at the general basic fund balance. You estimate at the end of fiscal year 24, you'll have $6.4 million in the general fund, not general basic, but the general fund. What is your reason for that high of a fund balance? Obviously. Okay, so then I looked at your expenditures in the general fund. Actually, just general basic. I didn't have time to go through all of it. I called different departments because I saw large increases in totals. That's what I started looking at. The ones that I called, most of their increases are for additional employees. And Ron can comment on this one. I was a little bit dismayed in looking at the Sheriff's Department budget. I did comparisons between what we actually spent in fiscal year 23, what we're asking for in fiscal year 25. The patrol budget is only increasing by 4.7%. Communications is increasing 24%, the jail 22.5%, administration 40%. Now I'm all for backing the blue, but I'd like to see more of it into the patrol on the streets. So, if Ron wants to comment? Okay.
I'd like to put another person back on, and then advertise specifically for an SRO. Those are the two spots we've been looking at.
Your investigations department increased 69%. And
There are 3 people there instead of 2.
And, well, when I looked at it, most of your increases are in full-time employees.
Yes.
but not under patrol. It was under investigations, communications, jail. I don't remember about administration.
We put 4 on in patrol since 2017. We've added 1 detective, and we'd like to move that, bring that SRO spot back. That's kind of a pass through about 80%.
So is this putting more deputies on the roads?
We'd be putting 1 more on.
I also looked, and if you'd like to know, your budget increased 28.9% between what you spent in fiscal year '23 to what you're asking, which I also remember listening in a meeting that you were going to hold your salaries to what you currently were making, which is 51,664, but your budget's at 53,214 per person. Public health. I questioned, and I understand there's been a lot of changes going on in public health, and that's, I understand that. But why do we have $90,000 budgeted in non-program for public health?
I believe that's for hiring a nurse.
Then that should be in service area 3, not non-program. She's got that in her budget too. But you have 90,000 in non-program. Probably the biggest budget that increased, you're not gonna be surprised that I'm concerned about, is the HR budget. In fiscal year '23, you spent $73,840. Next year, you're asking for $175,000, 137% increase. So obviously, I took a look at that. The increase in wage is 3.5%. I don't know if that person got 3 or 3.5. I thought most people got 3. We have an assistant, obviously, in there, which I know we discussed. I've been here and discussed the need for that, which I felt was premature. Stationery and forms went from $500 to $1,500. We also have information technology, $45,000. Can you tell me what that is? Since we have an IT department, the budget's for software and hardware. Can you tell me what that $45,000 is?
I can speak to that. I didn't know you had questions about mine, Jill. I wish you would have called me yesterday when you spoke to some of those other department heads, and I could have maybe been better prepared.
I didn't
to
have
answer.
time.
Okay. Well, if it's one of your main concerns, I would have been happy to talk to you about it, but that has to do with an HRIS system.
Before you start, this is a board's budget, okay? So they should be answering the questions.
Okay. I just thought I would
What's the
help.
$45,000? Now, if you want her to answer, that's fine, but what's the $45,000?
She can answer better than we can, because I don't remember. You know how many budgets we have to go through?
You think I don't know? Like I said, I spent yesterday going through them. Okay, you may answer that question.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. It's an HRIS applicant tracking system that we had initially talked about having a payroll, applicant tracking, HRIS all in one, and now we're going a different route with the time and attendance piece. So this is the piece where applicants would apply online. It'd be like electronic onboarding. We've been hiring people outside of state, and it's kind of a cumbersome process to get documents. It would make that more of an electronic process, a place to house all the employee information. The applicants would all be electronic and online, and like a database of that to refer back to. We've had people apply numerous times, and so we can bring them up and say, hey, here's their previous information. So it's called an HR information system, kind of total, full-blown. And that was worst case scenario. I did talk to Ben in IT, and he has some funds that can be used towards that. So I estimated that on the high side. Using some of his, that could be lower.
So my question then is, why is this running through your budget and not IT?
guess the amount of, I guess I don't know that answer because of how, I don't think he has that full,
Yes, he does, I asked.
okay. Well, I had asked.
So right
what
there's a
he has.
$45,000 duplicate in expenses.
Well, I asked Ben how much I could have from that, and he gave me an amount, and it wasn't 45,000. So, I just asked that a couple weeks ago. I said, how much from your IT budget can I use for this HRIS system as I'm trying to dwindle down, as I'm vetting through, companies, and it was not 45,000. I can look up what he told me, but it's not 45,000.
I still think that that's an expense that needs to come out of HR and go under IT. IT budgets for software. It's easy to start duplicating things, and I've seen a lot of duplication in this budget, a lot. Mileage and travel expenses went from $654 in fiscal year '23 to $5,000 for next year. Big increase. Education and training went from $1,188 in '23 to $8,000. Labor relations, that's pretty much the same, except for I thought labor relations, our contracts were 3 and 5 years. I don't know what they are anymore. They're 3 years, 5 years. And then we have legal and court related, $4,000. I remember when I came in here and told you or suggested that you hold off hiring an HR person and just put some legal funding in the auditor's budget so that she could have legal advice until you could figure out what was going on. You did not want to do that. So just in looking at this, we could have put that $4,000 over there and saved $171,000. Had a lot of questions about the maintenance budget, but they've answered all of those pretty much.
Jill, you had a question on the public health, and
Yes.
Grace is here now.
Okay.
And if-
Hi, sorry, I snuck in behind
Oh,
you.
okay.
if
I didn't know who you
could,
were
Grace,
anyway.
No, that's
Please
okay.
answer for the board.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Would you mind, sorry, I had a little bit of trouble hearing. Would you just mind repeating your question? And I have my budget here, so I figured I might be able to answer.
I want to know what the $90,000 for public health in non-program services is.
Absolutely. So $90,000 is what, obviously, when public health was a hospital-based program versus a county-based program, that was the amount of money given from the county to the hospital to perform public health services for the county, was that flat amount. And you can see back in 2021, 2022, that number has kind of continually remained the same. However, when we switched over to county-based, obviously there was not a change in there. I was hired, right at the start of this current new fiscal year. We have not seen any activity out of that line item, and that is because, as I'm sure everybody in this room knows, this has not been a normal year for public health. For a large part of this year, I was not able to have a Board of Health that we could have those discussions about how we might be adjusting this budget. And as for FY25, at the time that I presented my FY25 budget, we had not yet had our first Board of Health meeting. So you can see, there hasn't been activity in that line item, and that is because I have been able to run an increase in the number of services and increase the number of people that I have been able to directly help with public health programs with less money, with the funding that I have already been given in the rest of the line items. So the only reason that you're not seeing a difference in that number is just because I did not have a Board of Health for this full year to be able to kind of go over the budget with. But yes, I've been able to run an increase in services with the amount of funds that you were seeing from the remaining line items, and we have also had an increase in revenue from all the grant monies that I've been able to be awarded, if that makes sense.
Well, first off, there has been activity in that line item. There's $18,583 that's been spent out of this.
Correct, and that was because due to billing in arrears from when Virginia Gay was finishing up last fiscal year, due to just how those claims kind of fell. So that was really mostly for the previous year, if that kind of makes sense.
Where do you have that $90,000 grant coming in at?
So So no, so 90,000 isn't, that's not a grant, that's not a grant. Those were county funds that have been given to Virginia Gay to enact public health services.
But we also got grant money from the state.
Correct, yep, so
So
there's
where's
a-
that grant money coming in at?
Yeah, so there's a 62,000 local public health services grant. There's a $10,000 public health emergency preparedness grant that I was awarded last week, an additional $5,000. We've also been awarded just last week an additional $10,000 in immunization grant funds to prepare for next fiscal year when we're able to provide immunization services. And we're also seeing revenue from the public health programming that I'm offering.
Give me a second.
No, absolutely, and a lot of those recent grant additions, they were just last week, and so you will not see them on there.
Okay, so my problem here is, oh, I'm on the wrong budget. When I look at your budget, you have 65,000 for a public health nurse grant,
For a public health nurse, yes, not a grant, but yes.
but that's, well, it says grant.
Yes, I know, that needs to be reworded.
And then you have miscellaneous fees coming in from the community for $10,000. We used to get a grant from the state that was kind of passed through on to Virginia Gay Hospital. How much was that?
I believe that's the 90. And now,
Okay,
and
okay.
granted, I
Okay.
just started the beginning
No, that's
of the
fine,
fiscal
that's
year.
fine, that's fine. So, okay, that's the 90,000. So you have 90,200 budgeted in this budget for
Correct.
next year.
Correct.
I'm not talking about anything, but we have it under non-program services.
The medical and health services, the 428851.
But look at, it's non-program. It's a service area 0, which
Right.
means that's outside your budget.
Correct.
So that 90,000 that I'm assuming is going to be for medical and health services should be shifted down to being under service area 3,
And-
not service area 0.
And absolutely, and again, had I had my Board of Health for this full year, I think we would have been able to kind of maybe streamline
This is going to limit next year's budget.
Correct, correct. However, with an additional amount of grant funds that are coming in, and also I've been able to, again, run an increase of services with less money that we weren't.
Okay, so I'm looking at, again, I'm going back to this public health nurse grant is a new one.
Not a nurse grant, yes, it's
Okay,
incorrectly
it's not
labeled.
part of this pass-through grant.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Where's the pass-through grant on your revenues?
That's the EMPG,
What?
is that through EMPG, that 62,000?
The 62,000, that's from the state of Iowa to perform
That-
local public health services.
Scott.
So I don't see the $90,000 grant coming through here.
So I guess we might be
Okay,
talking about
well,
different
okay,
things.
but let me tell you what I'm seeing then. We're spending it over here out of general. We're not bringing in it over here. If it's a pass-through grant, we should have offsetting revenues.
And again, absolutely, and again, I'm more than
But
happy
this,
to.
no, and that's, I'm not trying to pick on you.
No, that's just.
But this is things you guys need to be looking at. There's almost $100,000. And look what you're doing to our levies. You know, our taxes are going up out of sight. And you guys have got to start pulling in the reins. I don't know. You know, I had to tell my kids when they were growing up, no, can't have it, sorry. So I guess those are my main questions. I would really like to know about rural services and the fact that you're keeping a fund balance that's way over what we need. I think you need to reduce your levy rates. I wonder why some of that ARPA money, because isn't it supposed to be for originally to help with COVID, couldn't be used to offset some of the public health levies or, you know, askings? That's why I asked what you plan to do with it. Why not use some of that to help her? Why not use some of that to give a little bit of relief, whatever way you can, to the taxpayers? Budgeting is one of your most important jobs. And Maybe you don't know this budget inside and out, line item by line item, but there's a lot of duplications in there. I could easily take out $500,000 and nobody'd know the difference. I think you need to relook at it. I know this is the hearing, and I know you by law can reduce those levies today. And I think you need to do that.
Thank you, Jill.
You're welcome.
May I just add one thing that I just found out, just to clarify for that duplication? I am looking at an email from IT sent last week, and they have $2,500 in their budget for HR software. So that's why I didn't utilize that, and I don't think it's a duplicate, because there's only $2,500 in there for
My
use.
point still is, that should be going through an IT budget, not the HR. So that there is continuity, so that you have one department taking care of software.
Very good. Thank you again.
Yep,
All right.
anytime.
That a girl. Any other questions? If not, then I will call this hearing to a close. I don't think we have to vote on that, do we?
No, I'm noting the time.
Okay, thank you. All right. And then we'll move on. I don't think we take action, it's got nothing on there.
You have to take action. This is your public hearing on the budget.
Doesn't show it on the agenda, so, okay. Well, is there a motion to approve this fiscal year 25 budget?
This is where you would reduce those levies.
My feelings is, Jill, I want to reduce them, but the assessed value, we all went through it, I did too. Your assessed value went up. When everybody made their budgets out, we did not know what the assessed value was. If you look, remember when you got it mailed out.
Well, my notice that I was gonna have a large increase came out last year.
You didn't have the dollar amount though.
No, but that has nothing to do with what you're doing today. You're looking at a levy rate based on the values that you have.
Right.
Do you need to tax that much based on the values? Do you need to continue to levy $3.95 on rural people when you have a $1.6 million fund balance? Could that levy not be reduced to $3? And reduce your your fund balance?
I guess my feelings was I was gonna wait till next year and then really back it off.
And one of the things I didn't comment on was your local option sales tax. If you look at the money you've been getting in local option sales tax, it's going down. What's that tell you? That tells you that people aren't spending money because they don't have it. But let's keep those taxes up here. Why not reduce that tax now so people can, have a little bit more money in their pocket? Quite frankly, if I were Farm Bureau, I'd be looking at an appeal if you're going to leave that levy that high to the state. Because there's no reason to have that big of a fund balance and leave that levy that high. That's my opinion.
Okay, we need to act on this.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve it for this year.
Is there a second?
Yes, there is a second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded, and I will call for vote. Primer, aye?
Seaman, aye.
Beer snake eye.
And we do have that resolution. That a girl?
How'd you vote, Rick?
What's that?
How was your vote?
I voted aye.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay. You heard me, Al.
Thank you. Okay, now we've got another resolution to follow with this one, 2436.
Okay.
Sorry, Myron, I'm gonna squeeze this in real quick.
That's fine.
Do you need me to repeat it, or,
No, I don't think we do, just,
right, you can just sign that to clarify that 75% versus $75.
You need a motion, though.
I thought we did that, but let's do it again. Can I get a
No, you
motion
did a
to
motion.
approve that resolution for early retirement.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Rushink, aye.
What,
We'll get this signed, Myron, and then
for the line item, or what do you
for you,
guys?
please.
Can you pass one of those back down to me?
It's gonna have to, you'll have to get it from Gina. She's gotta sign it. Right?
Yep,
So I
and I
thought,
have to seal it.
yeah. Okay, Myron?
Start with the public hearing that 20, or 22 minutes later than planned, but Eric Boddicker is here. I guess I don't know if anyone else is here regarding that public hearing or not, but public hearing was advertised in Harrison Township, north of Vinton, north of 150, 24th Avenue Drive meets up with 51st Street. Going to the west is where Aaron Boddicker's residence is. 1911, the county established a 40-foot road right-of-way that went west of that intersection to Myron Cox at the time. That road really serves nothing more than a residential entrance. The property owner currently asks that maybe that road be vacated so he can put a cattle crossing in and return that to private property. We sent out notices to the utility companies, Aaron really being the only property owner. I have received no feedback on any opposition to vacating that road. I don't know if there's anyone in the public that wants to address anything, but from what I've seen and received in my office has been absolutely nothing.
You guys remember seeing that? Okay. Come through. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So,
Close the public hearing then.
With that,
we need to probably vote on that. Okay, is that your motion to close it?
Yep.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. I'll call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Rushink, aye.
Okay. We need to,
I have a resolution drafted here that would vacate everything but the intersection. That road was just described as starting from the quarter section there, going west 40 rods. So not to confuse what's already there that was established with some of the other roadways there. Commencing 2 rods west of that quarter point, going west 38 rods, which is actually longer than Aaron's driveway is, but vacating that portion that lies both in sections 4 and 9 of Harrison Township. I do have a resolution drafted for you that describes that, and then we'll need to, Benton County will need to quitclaim deed and turn that back over to Mr. Boddicker.
okay, good. This would be 2437?
Yes, it would.
Okay. So can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion approved, 2437.
Yep.
Vacate part of the road on Harrison Township, right?
Part of 24th Avenue. Yep. Good. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. I'll call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Beershank, aye.
Last Tuesday, the Iowa Department of Transportation had their monthly construction lighting. In that lighting, Benton County had 2 bridge replacement projects that were tied together on 17th Avenue there north of Keystone. There were 5 bidders that bid on that project. The 5 contractors and the amount bid are on the sheet that I gave you, just handed out to you as a form of action. First, I would need, the DOT has reviewed all of those contractors, are all qualified bidders, to first accept the bids as received from the DOT as a motion action.
Can I get a motion to accept these bids?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to accept those bids. Call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Beershank, aye.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? Aaron,
Gary,
Gary, okay, sorry.
I second it.
The project costs, or the bid costs come in well underneath the estimate as well as what I had submitted for federal aid funding. These projects will be 100% reimbursed with bridge replacement money, and would recommend that Taylor Construction Incorporated be awarded the projects, being the lowest qualified bidder for the work. Just for information, we signed the plans here earlier this year, but one of the replaced bridges will be replaced by a twin 8x8 box culvert. The other one will be replaced with a 80 by 30 foot beam bridge. There are residents in between these 2 bridges that's on the same roadway. And so that was why that was tied. The bridge that currently has a 10-ton weight limit on it is going to be the one that's replaced first. And then the one that's got the 20-ton weight limit will be replaced second.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay. All right. So is there a motion to accept the low bid?
I'll make a motion to award the contract to Taylor Construction Incorporated.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded to accept that low bid from Taylor Construction. Call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Beershank, aye.
And then third, with the DOT doing digital signatures on all contracts and using the electronic software, I have a resolution drafted like I have done in the past, authorizing the county engineer myself to sign on behalf of the board of supervisors.
Can I get a motion to authorize his signature on that contract?
So by resolution.
Yeah.
Number 38.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, I'll call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Beershank, aye.
Anything else, Myron?
That's all I have.
Thank you.
I've been contacted by the dairy down there. That road is needing gravel pretty bad. When it rains, it's a muddy mess.
So we just put a lot on it here
No,
a week and a half ago. We only hauled, I think, 2 days last week, but the week before that, it was, I know they hauled on it then.
Well, there's a tremendous amount of traffic on that gravel road. They haul silage down there every day. So you gotta keep an eye on it.
Anything else? Yeah. Thank you, Myron. All right. Well, I'll call for any new or old business or public input.
I have a couple of things. Kelly Van Reed. So I've had a couple of people ask me about the camera that is on YouTube channel. They can only see the people in the audience, and wondered when they would be able to see the supervisors again.
Doesn't that one see us?
I think it's rotating today.
Is it?
For some reason, someone turned it off.
Oh,
The board isn't the only ones that use this, and that's why, the question about security cameras came up too, is because we've had things broken in here, so people turn off cameras. That one, thankfully, they can't reach yet. I guess I haven't been watching the iPad, but it was green when I came in here, so I did check on it when I came in this morning. So I think it should be rotating.
As I say, I thought that one,
The last two meetings, I think you're right, I don't think it has. I've heard that as well.
There's no light on it now.
I see that, yeah.
So I'm watching the iPad to see. Otherwise, I'll have to contact them to see why it's not rotating. Because it was, when I started the meeting this morning, both cameras were on and it was rotating, so, yeah.
And then something else that somebody had asked me about was the conservation. I know that we're doing a lot of new projects with the Hannon Wildcat area, but they have some concerns about the overall upkeep of some of the older buildings that we have. And just wondered what the plans were for, maintaining some of the older things. I can show you pictures if you want, like painting, soffit, aphasia, all that stuff.
What older buildings are you talking about?
Like just out at Rogers, the older buildings out there, like the pavilions that are, out there.
If I could suggest, since she's got some pictures and you're on that committee,
Yeah, you can
maybe
show
you
them.
two could get
Okay.
together and then you could bring it up at a committee meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. I can do that.
Good. Thank you.
I think that's it.
Thank you. All right. Well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second,
Okay. And I'll call for vote. Primer, aye.
Seaman, aye.
here's Hank Guy.
Thank you.